Imagine a man who would grow to become the world's first documented serial killer, H. Holmes. Born as Herman Webster Mudgett in the year of 1861, this man's early life was as ordinary as any other. But as he grew, peculiar patterns began to emerge. His childhood was marked with an unusual fascination for medicine and surgery, a fascination that hinted at a darker future. Stories of abuse swirled around young Mudgett, painting a haunting picture of his upbringing. But perhaps most troubling were his early signs of sociopathy. His aloofness, his lack of empathy, and his manipulative nature were all indicators of the terror he would one day unleash. As a young man, Holmes began to show signs of the monster he would become. This was a man destined for infamy, a man who would leave a grisly mark on the annals of true crime. Underneath the charm and the polished exterior, something sinister was brewing. As a young man, Herman Webster Mudgett moved to Chicago, a city ripe with opportunity and potential victims. He adopted a new persona, becoming Dr. H. Holmes, a name that would soon be synonymous with deception and horror. Holmes was an astute manipulator, his charisma as beguiling as it was dangerous. He used this charm to swindle unsuspecting victims, to convince them of his sincerity, his benevolence. It was this charm that he used to woo and marry a woman, a union that would prove to be anything but blissful. His charm was an intoxicating veneer that masked the monster within, a tool that he wielded with frightening precision. He manipulated those around him, bending them to his will, playing them like marionettes in his twisted puppet show. But his charm was only a mask, hiding his true intentions. In the heart of Chicago, a structure was rising, a structure that would soon be known as the Murder Castle. In the late 19th century, as the city was preparing for the World's Fair, a man named H. Holmes began construction on what he claimed to be a hotel. But this was no ordinary establishment. Holmes, a con artist and soon-to-be serial killer, had a particularly sinister vision for this building. The World's Fair Hotel, as it was called, was a labyrinth of macabre design. The structure was a 3-story building filled with trapdoors and hidden rooms. It was a maze that only its creator could navigate. Each floor held its own share of horrors. Rooms were soundproofed, some outfitted with gas lines that Holmes could control from his own room. There were doors that opened to brick walls, stairways that led to nowhere, and hallways that twisted back onto themselves. Some rooms were even outfitted with chutes that led straight down to the basement. And oh, the basement. This was the heart of the Murder Castle. Here, Holmes performed his most heinous acts. The basement was a macabre workshop, filled with surgical tables and tools, a crematory, and large pits of quicklime and acid. It was here that Holmes would dissect, cremate, or otherwise dispose of his victims' bodies. Holmes was meticulous and cunning, ensuring that no two rooms were alike to confuse his victims. He hired and fired construction workers on a whim, ensuring that he was the only one who knew the full layout of the building. This was more than just a hotel. It was a death trap designed by a mastermind. The Murder Castle, as it came to be known, was a dark, chilling monument to the twisted mind of H. Holmes. It was a testament to his ingenuity, his cunning, and his complete disregard for human life. The Murder Castle stood as a testament to Holmes's ingenuity and his twisted mind. As the doors of the Murder Castle opened, so began Holmes's reign of terror. H. Holmes, real name Herman Webster Mudgett, was as cunning as he was ruthless. His victims, mostly young women lured by his charm or the prospect of employment, were unaware of the fate that awaited them. In his specially designed murder castle, Holmes had the perfect setting for his gruesome acts. He killed with methodical precision, using gas lines, trapdoors, and a disorienting layout to disorient and ensnare his prey. Holmes's method of killing was as varied as his victims. Some he suffocated with gas, others he locked in soundproof bedrooms, left to starve. Still others were taken to one of his so-called secret rooms, where he could carry out his atrocities undisturbed. The bodies, once lifeless, were transported via hidden chutes to the basement, where Holmes would often dissect them, stripping the skeletons to sell to medical schools. But how did Holmes manage to carry out his reign of terror without detection? The answer lies in his charm and the distraction of the city. Chicago in the late 19th century was a bustling metropolis, its streets teeming with people, its air filled with the noise and energy of the World's Fair. Holmes was a master of deception, presenting himself as a respectable businessman, employing his charm to win trust and deflect suspicion. His murder castle, ostensibly a hotel for World's Fair visitors, was a masterstroke of misdirection. In a time where communication wasn't as instant as today, Holmes exploited every opportunity to keep his dark secrets hidden. He often changed contractors during the construction of his murder castle to ensure that no one but him knew its true layout and purpose. For a time, Holmes was unstoppable, his crimes hidden beneath the bustling streets of Chicago. Every reign of terror, however, has its downfall. H. Holmes, the man whose name sent shivers down the spine of Chicago, was not invincible. His downfall began with an insurance scam, a ploy that had worked for him in the past. But this time, the investigators were more tenacious, more determined. They smelled something fishy and began to unravel the tangled web of deceit that Holmes had so carefully woven. As they dug deeper, they stumbled upon a chilling discovery. The murder castle, as it would later be called, was a house of horrors, a testament to the depravity of Holmes. The search led to the unearthing of human remains, confirming the investigators' worst fears. Holmes was not just a fraudster, he was a serial killer. Holmes was arrested in Boston in 1894, initially for the insurance fraud. Yet, as the evidence mounted, he was charged with murder. His trial was a spectacle, a morbid fascination for the public. Holmes, ever the performer, reveled in the attention. During the trial, Holmes's behavior was nothing short of bizarre. He fired his lawyer, choosing to represent himself. He was erratic, unpredictable, and unrepentant. In a shocking twist, Holmes confessed to 27 murders, although only 9 could be confirmed. He described his killings with an eerie calm, a chilling detachment that left the courtroom stunned. There was no remorse, no regret in Holmes. He seemed to enjoy the notoriety, the infamy that his crimes had brought him. Yet his charm could not save him from the gallows. In 1896, H. Holmes was hanged for his crimes. His reign of terror finally brought to an end. In the end, justice caught up with H. Holmes, but not before his horrific crimes had claimed numerous lives. His story serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind the most charming of facades, a cautionary tale of deceit, murder, and the pursuit of justice. The horror of H. Holmes's crimes still resonates today, a chilling reminder of the human capacity for darkness and deceit. His story has become a chilling chapter in the annals of true crime. The sheer scale and audacity of Holmes's crimes were staggering. His meticulously planned and ruthlessly executed murders created a ripple effect that extended far beyond his immediate victims. Families were torn apart, communities were shattered, and an entire city was gripped by fear. The impact on the victims, both direct and indirect, was profound and far-reaching. The scars they left behind, both physical and emotional, would last long after Holmes's reign of terror had ended. But Holmes's crimes also had a wider societal impact. They challenged our perceptions of safety and trust, forcing us to confront the uncomfortable reality that evil can hide behind the most charming of facades. They shone a harsh light on the darker corners of our society, exposing the vulnerabilities that can be exploited by those with malicious intent. Holmes's legacy is not just one of fear and destruction, but also of change. His crimes sparked a reevaluation of our criminal justice system, leading to significant reforms in areas such as law enforcement, forensic science, and victim support services. This notorious serial killer has also left a lasting impact on our cultural landscape. His chilling story has inspired countless books, movies, and TV shows, shaping our collective understanding of evil and the nature of criminality. In the end, Holmes's story serves as a cautionary tale, a stark reminder that not all monsters hide in the shadows. Some wear the mask of charm and sophistication, blending seamlessly into society while harboring dark secrets beneath the surface. H. Holmes, the man, the monster, his name continues to echo through the annals of true crime, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath a charming facade.